You were involved in human trafficking down in the Phoenix area. Is that right? You went off.
Yes.
So you came from California and you went to school down in Phoenix and you ended up in a tough situation.
Mhm.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit about kind of like what was life like getting caught up in that and just how kind of what was the low point or the challenge at which point you wanted to get some help.
Okay, well, the lifestyle at first it was really glamorized. I had never like gone out to fancy restaurants. I never had a designer bag. I had never seen like a lot of money. I've never had a job in my life even. So the way he presented it to me when he had mentioned a lot of money, I was like, "Oh, of course, like I'd love to do that, you know, cuz at the time also I was a bit promiscuous. So I'm like, you know what? He made it make sense as to why not do it and get paid for it. So I'm like, of course, why not? Um, and so at first I enjoyed it. Like I was living a life I had never lived before. And, you know, I had never seen him angry at me. He'd never yell at me. He never hit me before. And yeah, it did at first confuse me that he was collecting the money, but you know, he bought stuff for me. I'm like, okay, well, as long as I'm getting taken care of, it doesn't really matter. And for a while, it was great until my birthday. The woman that he had closest to him, she ran off, and he had blamed me. And that was like the first time I've ever seen him upset or angry or anything like that. And and that was like probably the first time it was.
So he turned on you and you decided you didn't want to be there as well, right?
Well, yes, but he had also like he had cut communication with my family. He had taken my ID. I pretty much was I had no choice but to stay with him. That was how it was in my mind. Like I couldn't leave him. And even in moments where I did want to leave, I was like, you know, I can't. I made that choice and I have to stick through it. So I did, and I think maybe a week or two after my birthday was the first time like he really, really abused me. Like I had a busted lip, and afterwards he just told me to go get money for him. And after that, I was like, oh gosh, what did I do? Like the money isn't worth it. This isn't worth it. I wanted independence, and I'm so far from that. You know, like I'm pretty much the most codependent I've ever been. Like he makes all my choices. I don't know what I'm doing in my day. He's just, you know, if he picks me up or not, if we hang out or not, if we're going somewhere, like everything is on him. And so I'm like, you know, it was lonely that, and he was like, you can't talk to your friends, you can't talk to your family, like you have to grow up. And I'm like, oh, okay. And like, you know, the girl, she didn't like me much, so it's not like her and I hung out. Plus she was like 14 years older. She had 3 kids. So I'm like, her and I can't really hang out. And he and her, like I don't know what, but after that, like he had actually started seeing me less. Like I was pretty much getting Uber eated to my room, and he used to like take me out to go eat at least, and other stuff like that. Like I was in a room by myself for most of the time, unless because at a time prior to that we had got arrested, and they took all of our money. So like he's starting from scratch, and I'm, you know, at that time I'm the only girl there, so there was a lot of pressure, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I had been emotionally, physically, mentally abused for about 4 6 months, and one morning he threw a really big like torch lighter at me. He pretty much he abused me that morning for forgetting to put money on a Cash App card, and I was like, you know what, I can't do this, you know, let me go. And at that time he was talking to the girl, and I was like, you know, I'll leave for you to have her, but I can't be here anymore. He was already going to do it anyways, but that's what I couldn't do it.
So you went back to your family and your family introduced you to Love Never Fails. How was that? What was the difference when you went back to your family and you got introduced to the organization Love Never Fails? Tell me a little bit about what did they do with and for you, and how do they support you today?
They honestly, their patience and their love was probably two of the biggest things for me because I wasn't too open in the program. It was difficult being 19 while all of the other members are like in their 30s or 40s. My friends are in college, so it was something difficult to grasp. But with case management, like they gave me milestones for me to complete, whether it was you know, getting a EBT card or getting a job. Like there was stuff I had to do, and that was a motivator to keep me going. I had therapy, and you know, I've never been much to talk about my emotions or even communication. That was something I had lost, and They have like a lot of trauma specialized classes and spiritual classes. And that did help because my dad's a pastor. And for that whole like year of college that I was in, I didn't pray, I didn't do any of that. And so that to me helped growing a relationship with the Lord. And then also just honestly, we also volunteered, and I have a huge heart for the homeless or like those who are in poverty. And I got to do that, and it helped me a lot. Like as a person, I used to ignore people a lot, and I didn't think that was big, but it was rude of me, or I didn't know I had underlying trauma. Like my mom would ignore me when she was upset for days, and that like had made me avoid people when they were upset with me. So I wouldn't communicate anything, or we would argue about my feelings. And there's a lot of stuff like I didn't realize about myself that they helped me change and grow as a person. And they even offered me a job, and that was great because I had been looking for work and I wasn't getting hired. Like even at Buffalo Wild Wing, and it's ironic because my whole resume is of restaurant work. And opportunities like IT Biz, they helped me get a project management
So did you
certificate.
graduate from IT Biz?
Yeah,
Excellent.
actually, I
What
did.
degrees did you graduate with?
Um, they have like a basic customer service and technology pathway, and I chose to do project management. I like leading projects or being in a group environment during work, and so I chose that. And I actually am returning to do a higher form of the certificate, so that I can do like I love my job now. I'm actually the service manager for Love Never Fails, and that's amazing because oh, thank you. Um, yeah, I said I'd never worked there when I started, and now I've been there for like a year.
Look at
So
you.
it's been great.
So, so many of us work with folks that are out on the street and going through some difficult times. We never get to hear the other end of the story. So we do these stories of hope, and we're super glad to have you here. We'd love to actually thank you for coming down here and
Thank
telling your
you.
story.
Of course.